Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 942 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Pyles. Joined today, it's a different crew, but this crew is good. To steal a line from the movie Heat. David Bray has staged a coup, and JD is not on the show today. And this is just one of the many power plays we've seen David pull over the years. So this is nothing new. But he's on today, along with Shane Sparks and Ben Askren, and myself, Christian Pyles. And we are going to talk about probably two things. One, we're going to talk a lot of Fargo. That's why David's here. He is our top Fargonaut. He knows what's going on. He knows the ins and outs. He's got lists. Ben's very excited for Fargo. And we're going to talk about these NCAA rules because our buddy Shane Sparks, well, I'll just say he's a little nervous about them. But let's check in with Shane first. How are you, buddy?
Doing fantastic, guys. Good to be here. Hope everybody's having a great summer. Of course, Fargo this week. I remember the very first time I went to that was a long time ago. I mean, what I remember the first year I was there, guys that won, Tony Nelson. I remember Tony Nelson.
I thought you were talking about as an athlete that you went in 1997 or something.
No, never went as an athlete. You'll remember this, Ben. I think you're a little younger than me, but not too bad. My link to Fargo was when I was a senior and I was in the private schools. I lost in the finals to a kid named Rudy Ruiz, who that summer beat Jody Stripmatter. So I was in the finals. So I always joke with Stripmatter because I had never lost to Rudy. I think I only lost to him one time. But so I joke with Stripmatter that if I beat him a number of times and he beat Stripmatter, well then, basic math tells you that I would have beat Stripmatter up pretty bad, which I love it. But yeah, that's the first time I had ever heard of Fargo. That was in 1994. I didn't go, but I remember just doing the interviews with the champions and what a fun. It's a long week, but what a fun week. And when I first started going, I don't think the girls were wrestling. So it's great to see. Yeah, no, I think they were wrestling. I take that back.
Girls tournament's growing huge. It's really
now it's, I remember one of the first girl interviews I ever did was Rana Heaton. She was probably 14. A long time ago. And now obviously she just had a baby. It's just crazy how time goes, but what a week.
What a week indeed. Okay, I wanted to start. I've been wanting to talk with Shane on the show about the rules changes for a long time, since like pre-Final X when the rules came out. Shane has officially declared the death of Folkstyle. It doesn't exist anymore. What we have now is something else, which is, I think, news to a lot of us. And I just kind of wanted to go real quick through the rules changes and find out, just kind of real quick, yes or no, if you oppose the rule change or not, and then we can maybe dive a little bit deeper. Is that cool, Shane?
Sure.
Okay. Rule change number one: the top man needs to work to turn, not work to ride. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Yeah, I thought. No, that was correct me if I'm wrong. That was the proposed rule that did not pass. I thought
it did pass.
Well, of all the rules, the one that I thought would pass, and again, just from my perspective, I thought the one that was like a slam dunk was going to be, you got to turn a guy to get the riding time point.
Now that's the one that did not pass, but the rules said, this is a separate rule.
Sure, I know what you're okay.
Do you like that one?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
When you're on top, guys, this is like, here's the analogy I would give. A lot of my baseball buddies will give me crap because I appreciate a bunt. Okay. I don't love bunting. Sometimes it's the right play, but I love home runs more than I love bunts. I'm an Atlanta Brave fan. Braves hit home runs constantly. I love home runs, much like in the top position. I love a good gritty ride, but I love turns a lot better. I just appreciate both of them, but I love turning. I think it's been a misconception that I'm all about mat returns and riding, and I am, but I love turns.
Little, just, I don't want to get too distracted, Shane. Did you realize, I wanted you on the show Monday, did you realize what the UFC does? The UFC counts every mat return as another takedown.
I love it. I saw you tweeted that. I love it. I love that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Stop.
I do. I love it all, guys. I love it all. I love I love winning. Like, what is winning? Yeah.
Not me.
Okay. So yeah, David loves losing. Okay, Rook, I really want to kind of rifle through these. The ankle ride is now a count. Do you like that?
I like it. I like it if it doesn't cause a bunch of chaos, right? I mean, I like it. On the surface, I like it. I mean, I don't want to see riding ankles either. That doesn't. Yeah. So
right.
On the surface, yeah, I like it. Fine.
Well, how about the caveat that for any of these rules, if they create chaos, we don't like them?
It's just.
I think that's my stance on all the rules.
But my issue becomes where I get a little nervous. And again, guys, let me just preface this conversation by saying this, okay? And I know we got to get rifling through these, but I'm not a guy that always wants to be right. From this standpoint, I hope that anything I don't like, I hope I'm wrong. I hope and we'll get to the takedown in a second here, but it's like, these are the rules. I'll give them a try. I hope they're awesome. Like, I'm not one of these guys where it's like, God, I can't wait for next year where I can tell you guys, I told you I was right. These were wrong. That will do the sport no good. I hope these rules are awesome. I hope in a year when we get done looking at them for a season that we're all like, this was fantastic. But I just have my reservations. And in a lot of these rules, the 2 near fall, 3 near fall, 4 near fall, this count, that count. I just think some of these counts could be very confusing for fans. They could be confusing for people. I just don't want to see a bunch of my biggest fear on these near falls. You know, you got the 2 count, the 3 count, the 4 count. Was it a count and was it 2 or was it a count and a half? Was it 2.5? Was it 3? Like, I just hope it's not a bunch of challenge bricks and just confusion that way. So that's kind of an overlying.
Yeah. Okay. We don't want anarchy either. All right. Medical forfeits are now a loss. The first one. Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Absolutely.
All right.
Love it. Love
Great.
it.
Okay. They got rid of the hand touch, no reaction time takedown, and now every takedown. That's a thumbs up too. Okay, great.
Yep.
Yeah,
in a video review, the referee can change any call, not just what is challenged. So say, hey, I'm challenging a takedown. And they say, well, actually, it was a takedown in backs or whatever. Do you like that? That everything in the period of time being challenged can be changed? That's a mid. Mid.
Yeah, I'll take it. Like I'm not going to die in the sword for that one. Like, fine, I'm reasonable.
Won't die on the sword. Okay, 2-hour weigh-in across the board. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Oh gosh, you like hour weigh-ins?
I'm not a guys. Not to get off on too much of a rant here. I'd be okay with mat side weigh-ins. I hate weight cutting.
Okay.
I hate weight cutting. I think and the reason I hate weight cutting, especially, in college. Again, it's fine. But if it stayed at 1 hour, that's fine too, because I'm all about, I just hate weight cutting. I hate it. And I just hate it. So yeah.
I thought you were going to have a weight cutting stance that was really 1984 heavy. Like
Vision Quest, for example.
Loudon's nose is bleeding.
Yeah. It's just such God, I just think about, like, at the end of the day, especially in the youth, you want to have a good experience. I mean, these parents that have a kid cutting, I don't care if it's a half a pound when he's 10 years old, like, you are a bad,
Smart.
you failed. Like, you got to do better than that. Like, come on. Like, because guys, let's be honest here. Like, you look at some of these monster youth tournaments, let's be honest. I mean, nobody remembers who wins. They're not that important. Ben, you talk about this all the time, and I agree with you 100%.
We'll post old Tulsa results sometimes. I can't believe them. I'm looking at you, Christian Pyles.
What? It's cool. You should watch these kids wrestle when they're like 10 years old. It's fun. Listen, Shane, I think you don't get it, man. The first 5-6 pounds comes really easy off a 10-year-old.
It actually
so then it's just that
my daughter. I'll tell you, Christian, my daughter this year, she got in her head, and she was 61.1, right? And there was either 60 or 65, and she's convinced I want to wrestle 60. I'm like, I don't know about that. And she kept just badgering me about it. And so I said, Christian, listen, if you wake up on Friday morning, whatever, and you are within a half a pound, I'll help you lose a half a pound. Okay. And she's like, okay, I'm going to do whatever I can to wake up that light, which is only 0.6 pounds lighter than what she was when she didn't even check, you know? She allegedly tried hard. She couldn't wake up under that weight. So I said, you're going up. She was like 60.8 or something. And okay,
well,
actually kind of hard.
What brand of plastics does she sleep in?
The hefty
that'll do it. Yeah. You can't go cheap on good sauna suits. That's one thing. That's one thing we've learned on this journey through Little League Wrestling.
You guys are funny.
Okay. I just like the idea that all weigh-ins occur. It's the same. Whatever. If it was all hour, all 2 hours.
That's true.
Why is it? Okay. No, you should, as much as you compliment JD Rader's mustache, I feel like you're going to like this one. No more facial hair rules. Let it grow. Let it flow. Your thoughts?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. They didn't change riding time.
Movie. My kids like that one, Christian. I don't know what movie it's from. But
let it grow. Let it grow. Yeah. Frozen.
Yeah, Frozen.
No, okay. It's not Frozen. You guys are full of crap. It's a different one.
Let It Go was Frozen, right?
Frozen. No, Let It Grow. What is it, Bray? You got kids.
What is it? Rapunzel? I don't know.
No, it's not Rapunzel.
Tangled?
You guys need to know your freaking kids. What is it, Tyler?
Lorax.
Ah, yeah, that's it. You guys got to know your kids' movies better.
Hippie Ben. Well, of course, it would be the Lorax, the tree saving film. Okay. So now brings us to, I think that's all the big ones.
Near fall.
Let's go to the big one.
The near fall.
Oh, the 3-point near fall. So it's 2 points, 3 points, 4-point near fall. Shane, your thoughts?
I think when it comes to the near fall and the takedown, I just don't necessarily think they were. I don't think they were necessary. I don't think they were necessary.
Not necessary. Okay.
Yeah, because the reason I say that now, Christian, is because I almost look at him as put those two rules in the same basket, because somebody might be like, well, there's too much emphasis on the takedown. Yeah, but we neutralize that by adding another point for a near fall situation on the mat. They kind of cancel each other out. And that's why I'm saying, yeah, you should have just left the near fall 2 and 4, the takedown at 2, and they kind of cancel each other out. I thought going in, and again, I want to talk to some more coaches on this, but that's probably another whole nother topic. Don't want to get too off track here, but yeah, never. My whole thing was kind of the process too. Like in talking to different coaches, and it's not intentional. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not saying it's intentional. I don't know, but I can tell you this: in talking to a number of different coaches, it just seemed like the process is maybe more where the issue comes in, where it just maybe they could improve on the process and how this stuff goes down.
In terms of
just
what goes down.
The review. I mean, what are you talking about?
I had talked to some coaches that were just a little bit confused as how the process was. Like they were a little confused as how it all went with the whole process
of making new rules
for rules changes.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not as worried about the challenges, because it's like you still would be reviewing if it's 1 or 2 or if it's 3 or 4 or whatever. So I don't see it as a huge issue for the sport, and I don't.
Yeah, because they'll get one anyways at Dual Meet, but
yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's get to the 3-point takedown. What's the big gripe here?
It's again, this is my maybe I'm wrong, but my whole thing is we try to make rules that create action, right? I mean, isn't that kind of what that was my perception? Like these rule changes are going to try to create action, which is fine. It seemed to me like last year, the riding was always kind of the riding. People didn't like it. It's not exciting. You don't want to see a guy just ride a guy and not turn him. And it was about creating action. I mean, are we all in agreement on that? Like heading into the rules, my thought, I want to get your guys' thought, was with these rule changes, they are going to try to increase the action. That's the overall core objective.
I mean, I feel like that's a common platitude in wrestling. You know, everyone's always talking about that. Whereas I watched the semis and I watched all the NCAAs, and I thought, like, this is good action. These were good competitive matches. They were fun. Yep. I didn't really see an issue besides some of the stalling on top. That was the one thing I said all year. I've been consistent, and that's how I feel.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Ben. And I think you bring up a good point where it's like, man, we just had, I mean, I've talked to people that have been at that tournament for 50 years, and they said, that's the best NCAA tournament we've had ever. The finals were electric, a lot of great action. So it just puzzled me, like, state of the sport from that standpoint, to have such a big rule change. Like, that is a big time rule change. And I just don't think, and I haven't dug in the data, and I'm a guy too, I like data sometimes, but I'm not always about data, like go to the data all the time. I mean, sometimes it's, you know, there's a, you know, give and take to that. But at the end of the day, I appreciate all positions, and I want to see those positions like accounted for pretty much equally. Like, yes. So I just think the ratio's out of whack with a 3-point takedown to a 1-point escape. A 2-point takedown is double. Like, it is double the point value as an escape. And as we saw this last year, getting out from on bottom is not easy. That's where this kind of whole thing came from. Guys are so good on top. It is extremely difficult to get out from on bottom. It's hard. It should be worth a point. A takedown is worth double, which makes sense. Taking a guy down is difficult, 2 points. Turning them is really hard. That's double. Like, the ratio seemed to me like they were intact. I do not think in any way, shape, or form a 3-point takedown is going to cause people to be more aggressive on their feet. I don't see, like, all of a sudden now guys are going to be going at it so much harder on their feet. I think that is just not, you're either aggressive or you're not. And a point value on a takedown, like, all of a sudden we're not going to see some of these guys that typically don't score takedowns. Like, all of a sudden they're going to show up this next season and be dynamic on their feet. Like, it's just, we'll see, guys. We'll see. I'm willing to say, hey, let's give it a try and see what happens. But on the surface, I just thought it was unnecessary. I don't know why. I just thought it was unnecessary.
Yeah. That's how I feel.
Okay, so I guess my whole point in this little exercise is, well, it was for Shane, because we went through all the rules. He liked all but one of them, but he declared the death of Folkstyle. I think that was, maybe we could look back and say this was a slight overreaction on the part of Spartan.
It might have been. I've been known to overreact from time to time. I mean, we'll see what happens, guys. We'll see what happens. Now, I will throw this out there real quick, though. This is the one part of this debate that drives me. This is one where I will die on the sword. Okay, I'll tell you what drives, because it's such a. This is the one I don't like. Okay, I get a takedown. You escape because I basically don't try on the mat. I want to be on my feet, which is fine. That's fine. I want to be on my feet, so I'm going to punt a position. So I take you down, basically let you up. And then, God, I'm getting this screwed up.
Uh-oh.
And then I go on bottom, and I escape in the second period, and now it's 2-2. And it's like, you know, now maybe you get another takedown, you let me up, and it's 4-3. And it's like, oh, man, I've been dominating this guy. I took him down twice, and I'm only winning 4-3. Well, that's your fault. That is so, like, that's.
I agree. Well, Shane, I'm going to back you up here, because I have challenged everyone I know, including one Christian Pyles and David Bray, to name me one Folkstyle result, one singular match, who had the wrong outcome because of the scoring system.
Yes.
They can't find one.
You can't. Ben, I will say this, and I think most of us, I think, are on the same page on a lot of stuff. But Ben, I got to tell you, and I don't need to tell you, you know, I don't need to be the president of the Ben Askren Club, but whether I'm watching your Mental Mondays or listening to you on Flow Radio, like, I can't think of a time where I disagree with you. Like, I'm always like, Christian. Yes. And I'm with you. I will admit this, guys. I do feel a little more validated when Ben tells me he agrees. Because I sometimes I feel like people are like, oh, that's crazy, Shane. I'm like, really? Because I've argued this with people, and they'll be like, that's not fair that so-and-so takes them down twice and they're only up 4-3. It's like, that is dumb. Like that's
well, Shane, if they can't come up with one result, they can come up with a few results that are maybe closer, but they can't come up with one result that's the wrong way. And that's the issue. That with the argument, it needs to be 3 points. And generally, even when they are closer like that, like it's 3 takedowns and somehow it's 6-5, it's because the one dude sucks on top and won't choose bottom.
Absolutely. Like you can't, and that's why, Christian, when you talked about, and again, probably, a little bit of an overstatement for me saying Folkstyle's dead, but every position's important. Like they're all important. You've got to be able to wrestle all 3 positions to win. And if you want to punt on a position, I will never feel sorry for you for losing. Ever. Like, that's your choice. You do what you want to do, but that's where I don't like to put more emphasis on certain positions. I like to see them all equal, bottom, top, neutral. Like, I want to see them all like that, not like the scales like this. Keep it balanced.
I agree.
Okay, so I would say, one, you can't just you don't. It's not a trump card to say, "Oh, name a match," or your argument is wrong. That's not true. The entire premise of my argument, one, is the ratio doesn't make sense. Takedown to escape, but
how doesn't it make sense?
Hold on. I didn't even get to say 2 yet. So 2.
Well, we got a problem with 1. We're coming after you.
All right, then this is my new 1, and that one is now 2. Number 1, I believe the skill required to get a takedown is worth 3 times as much as the skill required to get an escape.
How do you figure that?
I think that. I ran the numbers. I crunched
Shane
them.
Sparks on top of you, and you'll figure out what's harder.
Seriously though, guys, how many? And I know I'm using extreme examples here. I know I'm using extreme examples, but how many points do you think Frank Molinaro would have been willing to give up on the bottom of Kyle Dake? He probably would have said, "Give me to my feet, and I'll give you 4 points for an escape." Like, getting an escape, guys, is hard. Christian, how can you say that it's a 3-to-1 ratio? That is absurd to me.
You don't think there's well, yeah, you use the most extreme example to prove your point.
I can give you a bunch of them, guys. Look at it's hard to get out from on bottom, guys. It's hard. It's worth a point.
I don't think so.
It is hard. It's not easy.
I'm not saying it's easy.
You're saying it's easy.
I'm saying takedowns. No. I'm saying the ratio of difficulty, just like kicking a field goal in football, is not worth as much as a touchdown, because a touchdown is harder to do.
It's half.
I think it is easier to. Yeah, I think a takedown almost half. Yeah, it's half. I think getting a takedown should be worth more than double an escape point. That's just my opinion.
That's your like. I can't tell you that you're wrong. I'm just in my. So we'll just. This is the classic. We'll agree to disagree, but it's.
I don't.
Christian, it's double. Like double. That's. You're saying. Think about what you just did, Christian, but like mathematically, think about this. I'm saying it's 200 to 100. There's not a scenario here where it's like, okay, like I'm reasonable, Christian. I might give you this. You know what, Christian? I see where you're coming from.
Give it to me.
If there was a way to call it 2.25 points, I'll give you that. But we can't go to 3, right? That's seriously. You can't go. If you want to go 2 to 1. I can give you a little flexibility and say 2.25 points, like 225 to 100, fine. But you can't go to 3. You can't have it a 300 to 100, a 3-to-1 ratio. That is absurd, guys. That is.
What about
Shane with the 2.25?
You know what, guys? Here's one. If you gave me the magic wand, I'll give you one. If you gave me the magic wand on the takedown, I'll tell you one thing I would sign off for 100%, and I would love to see this, although it adds, again, more confusion and more intricacies to the rules. I'd love to see a 3-point takedown in the final 30 seconds of a period.
No, you stop. You just
Really?
stop right now, Shane Sparks.
All right. I thought
No.
because I liked it. Now that would create action. Like that to me would create some urgency and more action.
Yeah.
No.
So
Can't reward it differently.
Okay. All right.
All right. We'll go 2 1/4 for a takedown.
Yeah,
That's
2
basically-
1/4. I'm
that's
reasonable, Christian. But to swing it, it's like this, Christian. It's like this. It's here's the scale. That's fine. This is fine, but you're going like this.
I mean,
It's
you know what,
right.
Christian? The actual ratio that I think you could be arguing is incongruent with skill, because I think Takedown to escape is 2 to 1 is fine. The ratio that's incongruent or would be a 4-point near fall, because that essentially equals 4 takedowns when you're going when a takedown is a +1, right? So if I turn you the second period and I get 4 points for that, I would need to redeem it with probably 4, or if I ride out the period, 3 takedowns, right, to get those points back. That would be the ratio that you could have an issue with, I think.
And you know what, guys? These rules, you know what I wish they would do too? I wish there were rules based on dual meets. All these rules are on individual matches, which, in conjunction will, somewhat be related. But like the dual meet scoring, like that to me, like the dual meet scoring, that's where I'd love to see that's where I'd like to maybe see some more radical changes. Dual meet scoring.
Okay. Starting with stopping taking points away.
Well, when somebody wins 7 to 1 or 1-0 and it's the same team score, that's dumb. Like what?
Yeah.
But that's another topic for another day. But we'll see. I mean,
let's get Bray.
Hope they work.
Yeah, Bray. I could tell you're about to say something.
I think what I'm excited about to see about these rules is the biggest problem when I watch a lot of folk style matches is there aren't a lot of matches that come down to the end where the result still feels in question. And that's a difference from freestyle, where in freestyle, if somebody's up by 2 with 45 seconds left, it's like, what's going to happen? Whereas in a folk style match, somebody's up by 2 with 45 seconds left. A lot of times it feels like I know what's going to happen in this match. There are some exceptions, but I like that this rule set as a whole, I think gives less opportunity for a guy that's up 2-0 on top to just ride out and waste time. It gives more opportunity for somebody that's down by 2, whether they're on top or on bottom or in neutral, to try to push for that, to either extend the match to OT or to get the win. And so I hope that these rules are going to create a little bit more, sense of the match being in question and engage fans. And so for me, it's like, I don't worry so much about, all right, has the result been wrong very often in the past? Is there somebody who should have won and should have lost? It's like, well, are people going to be feeling, that this match is in question for more often, and that's what I think is going to happen.
I mean, one of the things kind of along that point or along that thought process would be, in freestyle, if there is a incongruency in skill level, it's going to be over fast, right? You're going to get to 10 kind of quick if one guy's way better than the other person. And in folk style, sometimes matches, especially in the 4 to 7 point range, and then in the 9 to 14 point range, it just feels like they can drag on forever, because if in freestyle, if someone's up by 6 or 8, they're like, I'm about to end this. I'm going to go get him. I'm going to finish this off. And in folk style, if someone's up by 7, that's a lot more points to end it. So and I actually, if someone would argue to me that bring the tech fall down in folk style, I'd have been like, okay.
Bring it to 10. Bring it to 10.
But essentially, the 3-point takedown and the 4-point near fall, they bring us closer to 15 much, much quicker than a 2 and a 3-point near fall we would have had 5 years ago or whatever. So, I'm actually okay with that. I think sometimes the folk style matches can drag on because it's really hard to get to 15.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Bray, and you bring up a good point. Ben, you bring up a good point. I mean, I think those could be some positives. So I hope, we'll see what happens. I hope they're great. I mean, why not? I mean, here's the analogy I would give on these rules to a certain extent, maybe a bad analogy, but when I vote for the president of the United States, okay, if my guy loses, I hope the guy that won does such a great job that I vote for him in 4 years. I'm not one of these guys where it's like, my guy didn't win, so I hope the other guy just sucks so we can all just pile on and tell everybody how bad he is. Like, so kind of the same way I look at these rules. Initially didn't love them. I still don't know if I love them, but I'm like, all right, this is the way it is. I'm going to support them. I'm going to get behind them. And for the good of the sport, I hope they're awesome. Hope they're great.
You're my president, Shane. All right. Let's go to let's go to Fargo. Because this is next week. It's basically here. David's been all over this Fargo. So why don't you, if you're not up to speed with what's going to be going down, the big weights, David, why don't you get the people up to speed with what's going to be the big weights and matchups for this year?
Yeah. There are so many things to be excited about, but I think at the top, you got to circle junior 120 pounds, 11 guys ranked in the top 20 in this weight, including probably 3 guys that are in the running for a golden ticket at who's number 1. So Isaiah Cortez from California, one of the twins from California, he's at the top. He's number 1 right now at the weight. Leo DeLuca's in there and Barrick Jordan. Those guys are 1, 3, and 4 in the country. And I think pretty interesting clashes of styles and guys that haven't wrestled much, if at all, against each other, at least not recently. So that weight's really good at the top, and then it has crazy depth all the way down to Jackson Bloom at 20. So that's one that I think is one that you're going to be, round of 16 on. Even probably before that, there's going to be a ton of good matches.
And that's what I was saying. You named 1, 3, and 4, but there's a couple guys below that could still cause some havoc and get some upsets for sure.
Every year, it feels like there's guys that are on that outside of that elite class that find their way into. I mean, the Rainies were a prime example. I think it was at this tournament last year where they sort of broke out. But it happens every year, you feel. Okay. On the AWA side, David, how the Askren boys?
We're going to bring some heat, baby. We're coming with the smoke. All of it.
What's the heat level?
I mean, we got 4 guys ranked who are the highest ranked guy in the weight class in juniors.
Yeah. It's the best team you have ever had, Ben. This is your best group.
Yeah, it's their best group.
Yeah, and I think not only heat, but there's a couple guys in there that have real shot at golden tickets for who's number 1. Also, probably the guy that a lot of people are going to be looking at is Connor Mirasola at 195. He's number 1 in the country, and he's the favorite to win that weight class. It's going to be fun though. There's, Joey Novak's in there. He's going to Wyoming next year. So he's not going to be a factor for future rankings, but I want to see those guys wrestle. I think Novak has wrestled Cole, but not Connor. Is that right, Ben?
Yeah, I believe it was Cole at the Minnesota Christmas tournament.
Yeah. And Novak had a crazy match with Aiden Sinclair when you guys did that duel. So I just think that is a matchup where the style clash could make it really, really fun. And hopefully they end up on opposite sides of the bracket. I know they're using they were going to use the pin system to seed this, but now they're using the separation criteria. So
the pin thing is exciting. I don't know if people heard about that yet, but when I look at it, I feel as though it's not all the way there yet. Maybe like there's not a full batch of results or something, because I noticed a few guys who are kind of probably not where they should be. But the idea is that they're going to rate all matches against each other. And like chess has a rating system. Disc golf has a rating system where you're rated based on all of your matches and all of your opponents. And then it just spits it out. And I think that that's a really good way to go, but maybe it's not quite there yet.
I think it's going to be awesome in the future because it should add a ton of transparency. People will know what they need to do to get higher up in that, on that pin system. And they'll also be able to see like right away, what's a bracket going to look like. Like that's, I think, been a problem with wrestling for a long time, where you don't know what kind of matches to be excited about or anticipate until right before the event starts. So once it gets dialed in, I think that's going to be a massive improvement to, especially tournaments like this, where you got like 130 guys in the bracket.
Yeah. Cause they're literally going to rank them 1 to 130 or whatever. And that's huge. And because one of the problems with this tournament is, from the seating perspective, they have the separation criteria, but when you have it's usually the East Coast guys, a Pennsylvania guy, a Jersey guy, who haven't participated in a whole bunch of freestyle events, but they're really, really freaking good. And they come out here and they have almost no separation criteria. And then they're facing someone really good first round.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to make it a lot better.
Yeah.
David, you alluded to who's number one, some golden tickets. Would you go over some of the weights and the contenders for the various weight classes? Who could be wrestling and who's number one and earn that golden ticket?
Yeah, there are. This is probably not an exhaustive list, but a few things to keep your eye on. I already mentioned 120. That's one where it sounds like Anthony Knox is probably coming down from 126. He's not weighing as much as he was. So if he's down,
he always change weights. I feel like he changed weights last year also.
Yeah, and he's actually not going to be at Fargo because he's training at the OTC. But if he's 120 in the fall, then that would put him, in here. He's beat Cortez, he's beat Jordan, so he would be number one if he's at 120, and then that leaves another spot. So Cortez, DeLuca, Jordan, those guys are all on that level. They're all, who's number one type of guys. So 120, it's an interesting one because it's not just like, all right, this one guy, if he wins, he'll be in. There are a handful of guys that I think are right there.
Nice.
So 120, 126 juniors, keep your eye on that. Jax Forrest is in that weight class. And if you don't know Jax Forrest, I think it's impossible not to know Jax Forrest. He wrestles
impossible.
He wrestles everywhere. If it's freestyle, if it's folk style, if it's college opens, if it's high school, he's there. He's going to be a big time favorite to win this weight at 126, but he wrestles such a unique style. And the nature of Fargo brackets is you're going to have to win 6 or 7 matches. So there's a lot of landmines at 126. I would pick Jax. I think Jax is a big favorite, but there's some dangerous guys at 126. I'm going to pull that up really quick. Guys like, even like, if you look at the rankings, it's not necessarily the guys ranked right behind him that are the most dangerous. There's, Adrian Meza is ranked 16th in the country, but that guy beat Luke Lillidahl a few months ago. I mean, he's really good. So I think that's one, Jax Forrest, keep your eyes on him, but just know that bracket's going to be, it's not going to be a cakewalk. Other golden ticket guys, 152 could be interesting. This is a weight where it's deep, and most of the top guys in this weight class are grads or 2023 grads. So if you look at the rankings, you're like, oh, well, the highest ranked guy starts at like 6, but it's when you take these seniors out, these are a lot of the top guys other than Ladarian Lockett, who is going to be wrestling at U17 World. So he's not here, but at 152, probably the 2 biggest favorites to be contenders for golden tickets are Vince Bouzakis and Colin Guy. These guys both were state champs at 145 in Pennsylvania. Guy at AAA and Bouzakis at AA. They wrestled last year in an NHSCA final, and it was a really interesting match, but very much a folk style match. It was a lot of scrambly stuff. Both guys got a takedown in the match. Guy ended up winning 4-2 in the end, but it could have, it was really fun. And so that's a match I hope we'll see, but it's a very deep weight. So not sure that we will. There's also guys like, Zach Hansen and Brock Herman, who are seniors, who they don't care about these guys' chances at who's number one. They don't care about their futures. They're like, we're trying to win this too. So
future.
They don't care about their future. So
wow, these are some reckless young men.
They don't care about have any tickets been handed out for who's number one? Have any tickets been handed out yet or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
We know Fargo, correct? You guys are doing it early this year too. September 2.
We don't know. We don't know that. But no. Hey, Ben, we don't know that.
Oh,
yeah.
It is at Arizona State, though, right?
We don't know that.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's been like there probably would have been some invitations we could have locked in, but yeah, now we're trying to get all the details figured out. So some things outside of our control, but we're getting closer to that.
That is such a great event. That is in my humble opinion, that might be that is like, I think it's the coolest high school event. Who's number one is freaking awesome.
So
cool
awesome.
deal.
Yeah, for sure. There are 3 other guys too that are in really good shape for golden tickets. Will Hinkle, if he wins at 160, that's a no-brainer. And that would be pretty cool because his sister actually was in Who's Number One last year. So she's been in there. He hasn't. So I'm sure he's like, hey, come on, like, I got to get in here. And then both the Mirasola brothers, if they win, they're pretty much, they're no brainers to be in there too.
Fill me in on this break, because I was just told this last night and I wasn't paying any attention and I didn't know. Cody Merrill is back. This would be his first event in, I don't know, a really, really long time. Cody Merrill won this bracket last year. Of the non-seniors, Cole is ranked, I think the only person above him who's not a senior is the Greco kid, Bartelt, who's really tough. But now Cody Merrill's another really, really, really good guy at this weight class. And where has he been? Injury, I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't know for sure. Honestly, he's wrestled basically one event between Fargo last year and now. It was one of the good California tournaments. I think it was like 5 counties. He wrestled that. He wrestled at heavyweight. He won, and then he didn't wrestle in the postseason.
Yeah, weird, right?
Yeah, both Cody and his brother Kobe are going to be at 220.
Same weight class.
Same weight, same bracket. Whoa. So yeah, Cody Merrill, I mean, he is really good. The weight class he won last year at 195 was really insane. Good. It was actually a weird thing for rankings because Max McAnally won the U17 trials last year and he was on the team. Yeah. And so it looked like there's no way that anybody was going to pass him coming into the fall for number 1. And then Cody Merrill's bracket was really good with returning guys, but also it had Rylan Rogers and Wyatt Volker and all these seniors that were graduating, and he won that. It was crazy. We actually just on Instagram put the clip, I think, of his match against Volker where he had to come from behind. Yes. But yeah, if he's good, he's really good. It's just we haven't seen him forever.
Yeah, he actually wrestled two tournaments. I looked him up, 2 tournaments heavyweight, mid-cals and 5 counties, and then one tournament like a couple weeks later at 220, and then nothing.
Yeah, so
weird.
But I mean, I don't know. He's a guy that tends to be ready, and he has I think 2 years ago when he made the Fargo finals at 16U, probably the knock on him was like he was really hard to score on, really good positionally, but didn't always open up offensively. And last year at Fargo, he did, and he scored points when he needed them. And so if he's wrestling like he did a year ago, he could definitely win this thing.
Yeah.
Guys, how many seniors in high school wrestle at this? I mean, in comparison to past years.
I feel like it's less than in past years. I feel like I actually told a bunch of my guys, I feel like it's been going on a trend where for a while, almost no one was doing it. And then the last handful of years, and maybe it was Corona policies or something, but it felt like more seniors are doing it like the last few years. And then this one kind of feels down a little bit. I don't know how factually correct that is, but that's my feeling.
What's your take on that, Ben, as a coach, when you got those kids? Like,
well, I mean, I guess Bray, you can tell me if I'm factually correct. But my take is that there was this thing where a lot of colleges wanted kids coming in early. Like you graduate high school, you come in and either like there's usually like June summer school and July summer school, but you do some summer school classes, you train with the team. And so a lot of them weren't going to Fargo. And then I think I said over Corona, maybe it was like the colleges didn't want them there or something, as they wrestled more. I love it when kids compete here to finish their college career. I think it's outstanding. I think that's what they should do. And I'm kind of sad when they don't.
Yeah. And why wouldn't you? Right? I mean, if you have the opportunity, why not? I would. Yeah.
So Bray, am I right or wrong in that? But the amount competing.
I need to look at numbers year over year, but we do have 25 guys ranked in the top 20 that are graduates that are competing this year in juniors. So it's still a pretty good number. I think I agree with you. I think it's awesome when these seniors continue to compete, and you see every year a few guys who after the conclusion of their high school season, they keep competing, and that is when they really establish themselves. Well, Mitchell Mesenbrink, right? He was like that last year. And he wasn't in Fargo because he was on the junior world team, but there are guys like that every year that make a name for themselves. That's pretty cool to see. But we have a still pretty good crop this year. And I'm looking at these 25 guys that are registered, that are ranked, and over half of them are like top 10 guys. I think a lot of that right now has to do with what state team they're on and how hard those state organizations are lobbying to help them make a really good team. Illinois, bunch of the best guys are coming back. Iowa, every year you see a handful of the really good seniors. Wisconsin this year has a bunch of the seniors. How organized is the state association in Wisconsin, and how much do you think that plays a factor?
Yeah, very organized. But I would actually say, I think that plays a little bit of a factor. Like Big Scott Cleaver,
the big sexy,
really strong. Yeah, me and Shane, we both hung out with Scott Cleaver way back. Actually, Scott Cleaver introduced me to Shane Sparks in like 2005.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
But he made a really big push to have a really good junior duels team. We came very close to winning it this year, and that was kind of a huge effort. And we're probably going to try to do the same thing next year. As far as Fargo, I feel like it's a lot on the college coaches, and I've had to push back on some of them and be like, dude, like, why can't he compete? Like, you want him doing effing Folkstyle on July 3? Like, come on, dude. Is it really that important? You still have 5 months till your first college match. Like, you know, even if they go to the college for a while and they train, then send them to Fargo. Like, send them there for 4 days. Like, it's not really a big deal. Let's go. Let's compete a little bit. So I've definitely pushed back on the college coaches on that one a little bit because I think it is good for kids to have something to compete. And I think it's great to, especially if you're a kid, like I'll give you one, Noah Mulvaney. You know, he kind of broke out last year. He's been ranked highly. Now he's the highest ranked guy going into his Fargo bracket. I mean, if he wins Fargo, that's like a crowning achievement for your high school career. I mean, there's not a lot of people who said, I won the junior freestyle Fargo division. It is one of the biggest things you can do as a high school athlete. And so to be able to close it out that way is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what they're trading is like, what? They're trading a week of training or something?
Yeah,
like,
it's weird.
Yeah, it just seems out of balance with what you can get. And yeah, for the college team, maybe they don't get that benefit necessarily, but maybe they do.
In Mulvaney's case, it's like if he wins, I mean, I think that's great for Bucknell too, to like, hey, we got this Fargo champ. And, you know, Kyle Dutton was like the OW last year as a Little Rock recruit. Like that's great for Little Rock to have him. And they had a bunch of other guys who did well. So it can definitely be part of the, you know, there's some benefits for the colleges too, especially some of these schools that have really nice recruits who, you know, who could really, you know, who could win this whole thing.
Yeah, for sure.
You mentioned Cody Merrill. Any word on where he's looking?
No, he's been, I haven't asked around a ton. I actually
thought he was committed to Stanford. Is that not true?
I
had that in my head.
I don't think so.
Okay.
And then just be saying things on this show.
Well, listen, I mean, sometimes I hear things and I just think they're like a thing. And then I guess sometimes they're not a thing. I don't know. But I can tell you factually, he was on his recruiting trip to Stanford when Aiden Sinclair was on his recruiting trip to Stanford. And I don't know why, but I thought he had committed. And it was yeah. Would
have been kind of interesting if they both went to Stanford.
Now, I mean, I know that's what Coach Cole was pushing there for sure.
Yeah. Not yet, I don't think. Cool. Yeah, not yet.
Okay. Maybe we'll find out at Fargo. That'd be cool.
Speaking of these seniors, there are a few guys that I think people are going to be pretty interested in. At 145, Cannon Webster and Ryder Block could be a final. They wrestled at junior duels and it was 2-1. It was kind of a boring match, but both those guys have the ability to really open it up. And it's like, you know, it's a potential Big Ten matchup down the road with Illinois and Iowa. So I think guys are going to want to, you know, keep your eye on 145. That would be awesome.
Do you guys feel like, I feel like Cannon Webster is the significant favorite. I mean, he's really, really good.
He's super.
Very impressive.
He is, but I mean that match was so close last time. It's one you got to watch. But yeah, he's a favorite. I thought he looked really good at Pan Am's. Everybody looks good at Pan Am's, but
that is true. Pan Am's is kind of JV. It's like not as hard as Fargo,
bro. It's like, is it as hard? I mean, it's definitely not as hard as Fargo. It's. Yeah, I'm not gonna dunk on Pan Am's, but Junior Pan Am's, I don't think it's as tough as like a lot of state brackets
after
in America.
When FloWrestling is doing when FloWrestling is doing their Pan Am content on social media, my guess is that the words tech fall is just kind of copy paste.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
scoreless tech fall. I mean, I want to
Yeah.
say there was 40-ish matches from American participants, and I want to say like 34 to 35 of them were scoreless tech falls.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what's interesting at Pan Am's? We're seeing more and more of the international transfers happening at a younger age. Like Puerto Rico in particular has made a strong push to get like a full U17 team and U20 team. Most of them are Americans. Like Gabe Arnold's semifinals opponent was 8th at PIAAs this year. Who else? We had another guy
kid
like
from Jersey at maybe
Julian George.
Yep. Yeah, that guy.
He was like 3rd or 4th in Jersey this year. Like it's getting to be tougher because it's getting to be more Americans in the bracket. But that 145 will be good. Hey, one guy we talked about Little Rock last year with Kyle Dutton, and Nasir Bailey is a Little Rock commit. He's going back to Fargo, but he's competing at 132, and he hasn't competed at 132 like in a long time. I know he wrestles some 61 kilos, but he's 138 all year. So it makes me think they got him tabbed as a 33 pounder, and I wasn't sure if he was 33 or 41, but he's going to be the favorite to win. That'd be a pretty fun weight too, because Zam Fugit, who's going to Wisconsin, and Cale Peterson, who's going to Iowa, they're all seniors. They're all in that bracket. So keep your eyes on 132 for some little preview of some college action.
Very cool.
You're an encyclopedia, right?
Yeah. That's why he's on here. Anything else sticking out, Ben? Any questions for Bray? Any other things you want to talk about with Fargo?
Yeah, I know I want to ask about Cody Merrill because he hasn't been anywhere in a while, and he's a really tough guy. Junior 120 I was looking at was really fun. I think you kind of mentioned a lot of the weights that are going to be really good. Junior 132, I guess you didn't kind of go. You talked about Nasir Bailey, but you didn't go through. That one is really, really deep. Also, even some of the guys in the honorable mention are, it's kind of looking. I don't know how you guys do honorable mention, but you guys got like 57 honorable mentions in each weight class, but some of them are really, really, really good. What you got junior freeze out? What's the best cadet weight, Mr. Bray?
Good question. JD is working on that preview, so I haven't spent as much time at that. But I mean, 120 again is going to be really good. Keanu Dillard is moving up. That should be pretty interesting. I talked to Chance Marsteller about Dillard at the training center, and he's really excited about Keanu and what his move up in weight is gonna be like. And so curious how he looks. 113 in 16U is pretty crazy. Let's see. We got
that was really good.
Ooh.
7 top 20 guys. Carter Pearson from Iowa that guy is super good. And Dom Munaretto, the world champ last year, 45 kilos. Those two guys are at the top of that weight. So 113 should be a lot of fun. And then one guy that wrestling fans need to start watching at 132 is this kid, Jesse Grajeda from California. He's a Monster Garage guy. He is going to be a freshman.
132?
Yeah, he's at 32.
Okay.
He's going to be a freshman next year. And he's gonna be like lighting it up here pretty soon. So watch Grajeda. He had crazy matches with let's see, I think he had a good match with Jax Forrest. No, it was Ben Davino at U17s. He was leading in the second period. Davino had to come from behind. So that kid, he needs, he'll develop still in the next year, but that kid's gonna be really fun.
Big freshman too. Almost like Pico.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Moving on from Fargo, we can always come back to it if we want. But the ranking series is happening right now. Without diving too deep into it, the thing I'm most interested in is 86 kilograms and how Miles Amin and I think Abakarov, how their performance here could separate or cement Yazdani and Taylor from being on the same side or opposite side.
Hey, can I ask a follow-up question on this one before someone else answers? Is given the fact that David Taylor won last year at the Worlds, how is he potentially the 4 or 5 seed? I thought they were giving enough points to bump him up. What the heck?
he gets a lot of points for that, but you don't get. But that's the only thing he's done to impact his seeding. So right now he is at. Hold on, let me hold my. He got 45,000 points for being the returning world champion, but that's it. That's all he's done. So that puts him at 5th. Boris Makoyev is at 56,200. So with that, it's going to be a challenge because David's not doing any rankings series stuff. He's not doing it. So basically, we're kind of looking to other foreign entities to come and separate those two. Now, what could happen is Abakarov and Amin both shoot up above both, and then they stay basically together in the 6-7, which means they'll hit the semis. They're currently slated to hit the quarters. But Kozak very recently gave me an update of what he thinks it's going to be. He thinks it's ultimately going to be 4 Amin, 5 Yazdani, 6 Abakarov, 7 Taylor, which would be fantastic because it would separate David and Yazdani.
Why is Yazdani moving up? Is he wrestling somewhere else, I'm guessing?
I don't think he is moving up.
Well, he would move up compared.
I think guys are.
David's at 4 or 5 now. Oh,
David's at
below
5.
him, you're saying. Got it. Okay, got it.
And it means in the final of this tournament, correct?
He already made the final, so he's going to pass David for sure. Has already earned points to pass David. It's a matter of if he'll pass Yazdani, which I think let me look at this, 11,000 plus. So right now he's like tied with Yazdani. No, he's ahead. So he is now the 4 seed at minimum. So
who's the 1 seed, just out of curiosity?
Boris Makoyev, who is Russian but now represents Slovakia.
Yeah,
I want to say. And we also have a new 86 is going to be interesting because Karugliev has also transferred.
Yeah, where's he at?
Greece.
Great Britain?
Greece.
All right. I saw it was like GB something or other. I'm like, yeah, I saw that this morning. I'm like, what? I didn't know what. I did not know what the abbreviation was. I'm like, I had no idea. Greece. Okay.
Yeah. So he's Grease Lightning. So we'll see how he does. So yeah, that's very interesting. Other than that, I know Snyder's in the finals. I saw Zane Richards took a loss after some wins. I think Nick Lee was actually cruising.
Like 40-second 10-0 tech. Was it
Snyder had a close one though, guys?
Yes, he did. His quarter was close. His semi was a tag.
Yeah.
Guys, can I ask you guys a real quick question? Can I just throw this wrench in here real quick? Is Nick Lee the most underappreciated wrestler of the last 30 years?
What? 30 years, Shane?
I love it when Shane makes these real like.
I think Nick Lee.
Bold.
I think Nick Lee is the most underappreciated American wrestler in the last 30 years.
And if you don't agree, you're wrong.
He is so good. Like Nick Lee is a superstar. And he never gets talked to. You never hear people mentioning Nick Lee when you talk about the greats, even at Penn State. Like, that guy doesn't take a second seat to anybody.
Well, Shane, he's kind of way down the list on Penn State, the guys.
I think Nick Lee's career is so underappreciated. So underappreciated.
Well,
thought I'd throw it out there.
He's super good, 2-time champ. I think, well, domestically, last year he lost to Evan Henderson, and that is not rapidly expunged is good, but he's made one team, right? But I don't really know how to. 30 years is quite a.
I just threw that out there.
I'm just thinking about the
long window.
Thinking about the significance of time.
I just appreciate Nick Lee. Like I just think he's just remarkable in what he's been able to do, and he's just so goddamn tough. I'd like to hang out with Nick Lee for like a month and I'd get tougher.
A month?
I would. I'd like to hang out with Nick Lee for a month. I'd get tougher. I know I would. Like, he's just tough. He's just tough. I love Nick Lee's style.
Who would you get more tough? You spend a month with Andrew Howe or a month with Nick Lee? Who would you?
I'd go both. Both Indiana guys.
No, pick one. Pick one.
Easy.
And I'd probably take Nick Lee right now. Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably go Lee.
Recency bias.
I think it.
Yeah, little recency bias.
Based on that comment, I'll just stop.
No.
Okay. It is 10:30 after all here in the East Coast.
It's only 9:30. Take it back, Pyles.
I'm officially East Coast for this week. So
what do you got going on today, Christian? What's vacation today look like for you?
Oh, no, I got some more meetings and maybe a trivia night tonight, but just hanging out here. Probably Caleb will probably make me play baseball with him.
What's your go-to trivia category?
Oh, I'm really good at one thing, and it's when they play songs. I know who sings them and know what the song's called.
Nice. I guarantee Shane would whoop you in that category. Can we do it live on the show?
only if it's like yacht rock. Do I think Shane has a chance against me?
No. If it's you in this category, I guarantee it.
Run it. All right. Hey, listen, I'm saying set it up. We'll play the songs.
Oh, man.
Hey, you hear that? Bray, set this up right now.
But hey, Christian, I got to throw this out there. We'll do this game. However, 80s music's worth 3 points. And music after 2000's worth 1 point.
I think I can still do it.
It'll definitely be worth the money we'll spend on the music rights to do this game.
Yes. 100%. But if you don't get sued, then it was free. All right. We're going to go. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We won't be back Monday on account of everyone's Fargoing. We'll be back next week for sure. We will see you then. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Thank you, Shane, for coming on. Ben.
Great seeing you guys.
Safe travels to Fargo. And to all you Fargonauts out there, have a good time. Good luck to AWA. For sure.
Go Wisconsin.
Bring them home. Good luck to Team Virginia, as always. And, we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.